be able to go to the libraries, be able to use the senior centers, be able to do all those things, but our city is too top-heavy. There are administrators making ridiculous salaries, people getting raises, people not punching a clock at City Hall and leaving at 1 o'clock. I think that we really need to evaluate where the money is going, and I'm completely in agreement that we don't have another choice when it comes to the car tax. It's an unfortunate situation. But on the other hand, you know, there are other ways to make up for it, and I hope that we can, in the future, eliminate that as well. And I think that at the end of the day, you know, there's a lot of discussion about, we have no other choice, we have no other choice. We do have a choice. We do have a choice. There are people who don't live in East Providence who make all this money, and I feel that we really need to evaluate those positions, consolidate services, and cut salaries at the top. We are way too top-heavy in East Providence.
We could cut all the administrators. It would probably save $1 million. Now what are you going to do? And as far as raises, there were no discretionary raises in the budget. So no matter how many times people repeat the urban myth of that, it doesn't matter how many times they repeat it, it's not true. So please, let's stick with the facts. Let's look at the budget. We've been all over it. If you get, by the way, of the 30 highest paid people in the city, they are mostly police and firefighters. And why is that? Because they work a lot of overtime and they earn a lot of money. But just eliminating administrators, it's going to save about $1 million. Now what are you going to do?
Well, at the end of the day, that's $1 million. We're $6.1 million in debt. There's $1 million right there. So I think that, you know, there's more than what they tell you. They make it as hard, and this is what I've learned from the beginning when I first started running this campaign. They couldn't make it harder for you to get the information about what goes on in the city. The budget is this big, all different fonts. You can't call people, you don't know where they work, they don't return your emails. They do it on purpose, and I think that, you know, somebody needs to pull back the curtain and figure out what's going on back there.
The city presently has a limit of 3.5% on tax increases. Should that be applied also to the car tax? Or I guess the question really is, should the car tax be included in that 3.5% increase?
I'm not too familiar with the wording on that. Like I said, I'm not a financial advisor by any means. My opponent has much more experience with that. But I have surrounded myself with financial experts, bankers, lawyers, and a lot of people a team of people that are going to work together, and that has been my MO from the beginning, that it should never just be one face. It should be a group of people working together to solve the problems together. So I'm going to say that I'm not 100% familiar on that topic, but like I said, it's a group effort, and that's the way it always should have been.
We want to limit the taxes, whether you include it or don't include it. We want to limit the burden on everyone, one way or another. The problem is, in the short run, we need $5 million, and there's no other place to get it, unfortunately.
At this time, we'll give each candidate a chance to ask a question to his or her opponent.
Katie, in your materials, you expressed a desire for more civility in city government. And I take that to mean in dealings with our employees and with each other. My question to you is, when the unions say no, what are you going to do?
I have personally met with two of the president of the unions in East Providence, and I've probably spent more time with them as a non-elected official than some of the people on the current council have spent with them. And they have made it clear to me that they understand that we are living in a time where everyone needs to take a hit. They understand that they're going to say, we want this, and we're going to say, not so much, we'll give you this. And they want to negotiate, and they want to feel that they are being respected, and they want to feel like they're being treated fairly in a transparent environment where they are able to see what is going on all other fronts regarding the unions. I feel that the way that the unions have been dealt with has been demeaning, has been condescending, they've been singled out, and I'm not pro-union by any means, but I am a human being, and I think that people should be treated like human beings, and they should not be made to feel that when they get up and go to work every day, they should feel ashamed that that's what they do for a living. Oh, thank you. You've been in office for 4 years now, and I would like for you to identify the biggest mistake you've made and what you would have done differently.
Voting to ratify a contract with the police union about 3 years ago. I think that was a mistake because it included escalators and raises that later proved to be unaffordable. What we did do is we were able to, with the crisis, we were able to sit down with them and ask them for concessions. And ultimately, even though we had to lay some people off, ultimately we reached amicably an agreement that was affordable with verifiable real savings of $1 million a year. So I think that was the biggest mistake. I didn't look carefully enough at it, and I went along with the rest of the council and ratified it. But I think if I had that to do over again, I would have voted the other way. Thank you.
Should the city expand user fees to finance operations in addition to property taxes?
Can you elaborate on what you mean by user fees?
I'm assuming using various facilities within the city, the playgrounds that are lit and other things, Pierce Field.
I would hope that we wouldn't have to go forward with user fees. I do know that, we have this beautiful Larissa Park that is being, taken care of by a few full-time employees. I think that we need to focus on the amenities that we have now, focus on improving the infrastructure we already have in place, and really taking into account what the people want, what they've been asking for, and not what our own personal political agendas are, and not what our friends want, and not what our people working for us at City Hall want. So like I said, I would hope that we wouldn't have to do that, but at the end of the day, things cost money, and I think that would have to be dealt with on a case-to-case basis, but it's important that we create a city where people are happy to live in and people are excited to be here, and we need to make it more interesting for new businesses and new people to come here. So I hope that we can avoid that fee, like I said, but it is important to keep those things up to date and running smoothly.
Two ways to pay for things. One is to impose taxes on everybody for things that some people use. For example, education is one of those things. Some people don't have children in the system, others do, yet we tax everybody the same. User fees are more like, like a water fee or a toll road. You pay a toll to travel on a road. Those are user fees, and that has the virtue of being fair because users pay and non-users don't. So it's fair, but it's not a good way to pay for everything. So, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'll give you an example of trash pickup. Some people want to implement a system of pay as you throw. Our Steve Mutter, who's our recycling coordinator, has talked about that and said, maybe we should take a look at that. Other communities do it. I'm not in favor of that. I think the general revenue taxes on all of us should pay for that. I think that would be unpopular too, by the way. But anyway, thank you.
Should the taxpayers of East Providence bear the cost of medical insurance for elected officials?
I think what we've done over the years is reduce stipends pretty much in many of the boards, commissions, the school committee, for example, and we've kept healthcare benefits. On the city council, what we do is we get $3,500 a year to serve on the city council, and for those who take advantage of health insurance, we impose a 20% co-share. Now that was voluntarily entered into by the council. Before that, some years ago, it was at 10%. That was before it was imposed on employees. Right now, it's at, for the last, I think, 3 years or so,